Different size and species can't stop these cats from being best friends. Did you ever think a house cat and a lynx could live together? I know it sounds wild, but let me tell you, this is one of those stories that sticks with you. It's about an unusual friendship that completely defies expectations. So, there's this lynx named Linda. She came to the zoo as a baby, all fluffy and full of energy. You've probably seen pictures of baby lynxes, right? Those big paws, pointy ears, and this goofy, playful energy. That was Linda. But lynxes aren't just adorable forever. They're strong predators. Even as a kitten, Linda had this confidence about her, this wildness in her eyes that reminded you she wasn't your average pet. The keepers loved her, but something was missing. She was lonely. They gave her toys, they spent time with her, but you could tell it wasn't enough. And that's where this tiny calico kitten, Duria, comes into the picture. Now, Duria was just a regular house cat, but don't let her size fool you. She had this bold personality, almost like she thought she was 10 feet tall. When the keepers brought her to meet Linda, they weren't sure how it would go. I mean, what do you think would happen? A lynx and a tiny kitten meeting for the first time. It could have been a disaster. At first, Linda was cautious. She's sitting there, staring at Duria like, "Who are you? And why are you in my space? And Duria?" Oh, she just struts in like she owns the place. No fear, no hesitation. She starts sniffing around, totally unbothered by the fact that Linda is way bigger than her. The keepers didn't rush it. They kept everything supervised, just in case. The first few meetings were short, just a few minutes. Linda and Duria sniffed each other, kind of sizing each other up. You know how animals are, right? They're trying to figure each other out. But pretty soon, they were playing together like they'd been best friends their whole lives. What really surprised everyone was how gentle Linda was, even as she grew bigger. And I mean way bigger than Duria. She never once hurt her little friend. You'd see Duria climbing all over Linda, pawing at her, curling up next to her to nap, and Linda just let her. It was like she knew how small and fragile Duria was. Doesn't that make you wonder? How does a predator like a lynx become best friends with a tiny house cat? You'd think their instincts would kick in, that something would go wrong, but it never did. It's almost like Linda understood that Duria wasn't prey, she was family. Their bond became one of the zoo's biggest attractions. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. A huge lynx, sitting there calmly while this tiny calico cat climbed all over her. Kids would press their faces to the glass, pointing and laughing, while adults stood there, just as amazed. But here's what really gets me. They didn't just tolerate each other. They genuinely seemed to love each other. You'd catch them grooming each other, playing chase, and curling up together for naps. It was the kind of friendship that makes you stop and think, if these two completely different animals can get along, what's stopping the rest of us? I'll be honest, I didn't expect this story to hit me the way it did. I mean, it's cute, sure, but there's something deeper here. It's about connection. It's about finding companionship in the most unexpected places. Don't we all want that? Someone who gets us, who doesn't care about our differences. That's what Linda and Duria had. And let me ask you something. Have you ever had a friendship like that? One that didn't make sense to anyone else, but it just worked. Maybe it was someone from a completely different background, or someone you never thought you'd have anything in common with. But somehow, they ended up being one of the most important people in your life. That's what this story is about. It's not just about a lynx and a house cat. It's about finding connection in unlikely places. It's about breaking down walls and realizing that differences don't matter as much as we think they do. Linda and Duria remind us of something simple but powerful. Love doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't follow rules. It just is. And sometimes it shows up in the most unexpected ways. So, what do you think? Could you imagine these two animals living together? Does it make you see things a little differently? Let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this story, share it with someone who might need a little reminder that friendship can come from anywhere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your stories about unlikely friendships too.